Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, YouTube. We are again reading from the Bible. I am using the Scriptures translation. You can use whichever translation you have, although some of the words will be very different. Essentially the same meaning, just very different. And this has the original Hebrew names, which is what I love about it. So, get your coffee, get your Bible, and let's read. Today we are starting in Numbers chapter 22. And the children of Israel set out and camped in the desert plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan of Jericho. And Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because they were many, and Moab was in dread because of the children of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, Now this company is licking up all that is around us, as an ox licks up the grass of the field. Now Balak, son of Zippor, was sovereign of the Moabites at that time. And he sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to him, saying, See, a people has come from Mitzrayim. See, they have covered the surface of the land and are settling next to me. And now, please come at once, curse this people for me, for they are too strong for me. It might be that I strike them and drive them out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian left with the fees for divination in their hand. And they came to Balaam and spoke the words of Balak to him. And he said to them, Spend the night here, and I shall bring back word to you, as Yahweh speaks to me. So the heads of Moab stayed with Balaam. And Elohim came to Balaam and said, Who are these men with you? And Balaam said to Elohim, Balak, son of Zippor, sovereign of Moab, has sent to me, saying, See, a people has come out of Mitzrayim, and cover the surface of the land. Come now, curse them for me. It might be that I am able to fight against them and drive them out. And Elohim said to Balaam, Do not go with them. You do not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose in the morning and said to the heads of Balak, Go back to your land, for Yahweh has refused to allow me to go with you. And the heads of Moab arose and went to Balak and said, Balaam refuses to come with us. Then Balak again sent heads, more numerous and more esteemed than they. And they came to Balaam and said to him, This is what Balak son of Zippor said, Do not be withheld from coming to me, please, for I esteem you very greatly, and whatever you say to me I do. Therefore, please come, curse this people for me. And Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak, Though Balak were to give me his house filled with silver and gold, I am unable to go beyond the word of Yahweh my Elohim, to do less or more. And now, please, you also stay here tonight, and let me find out what more Yahweh says to me. And Elohim came to Balaam at night and said to him, If the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you that you do. And Balaam rose in the morning and saddled his donkey and went with the heads of Moab. But the displeasure of Elohim burned because he went, and the messenger of Yahweh stationed himself in the way as an adversary against him. And he was riding on his donkey, and his two servants were with him. And the donkey saw the messenger of Yahweh standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and the donkey turned aside out of the way and went into the field. So Balaam struck the donkey to turn her back onto the way. Then the messenger of Yahweh stood in a narrow passage between the vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. And when the donkey saw the messenger of Yahweh, she pushed herself against the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall. So he struck her again. And the messenger of Yahweh went further, and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn aside, right or left. And when the donkey saw the messenger of Yahweh, she lay down under Balaam. So Balaam's displeasure burned, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, What have I done to you that you have stricken me these 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, Because you have mocked me. I wish there were a sword in my hand, for I would have killed you by now. And the donkey said to Balaam, Am I not your donkey on which you have ridden ever since I became yours to this day? Was I ever known to do so to you? And he said, No. Then Yahweh opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the messenger of Yahweh standing in his way with his drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed his head and fell on his face. And the messenger of Yahweh said to him, Why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? See, I have come out to stand against you, because your way is reckless before me. And the donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, I certainly would have killed you by now and let her live. And Balaam said to the messenger of Yahweh, I have sinned, for I did not know you stood in the way against me. And now if evil is in your eyes, let me turn back. And the messenger of Yahweh said to Balaam, Go with the men, but only the word that I speak to you that you speak. Balaam then went with his heads of Balak. And when Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him in the city of Moab, which is on the border at the Arnon, which was in the extremity of the border. And Balak said to Balaam, Did I not urgently send to you, calling for you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to esteem you? And Balaam said to Balak, See, I have come to you. Now am I at all able to say somewhat the word that Elohim puts in my mouth, that I speak? And Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath Hutzah. And Balak slaughtered cattle and sheep, and he sent some to Balaam and to the heads who were with him. And it came to be in the morning that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high places of Baal, and from there he saw the extremity of the camp. Imagine, in this time, having a donkey your whole life, and all of a sudden it starts talking to you after you beat it 3 times with a stick. And it just starts talking. That would be pretty freaky. And it doesn't say he was afraid or anything like that. He just talks back to the donkey like it's normal. Chapter 23. And Balaam said to Balak, Build 7 slaughter places for me here, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me here. And Balak did as Balaam had spoken. And Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each slaughter place. Balaam then said to Balak, Stand by your ascending offering and let me go on. It might be that Yahweh does come to meet me, and whatever he shows me I shall declare to you. And he went to a bare height. And Elohim came to Balaam, and he said to him, I have prepared the 7 slaughter places, and I have offered on each slaughter place a bull and a ram. And Yahweh put a word in the mouth of Balaam and said, Return to Balak, and this is what you say. And he returned to him, and saw him standing by his ascending offering, he and all the heads of Moab. And he took up the proverb and said, Balak, the sovereign of Moab, has brought me from Aram, from the mountains of the east. Come, curse Jacob for me, and come, rage at Israel. How do I curse whom El has not cursed, and how do I rage at whom Yahweh has not raged? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I observe him. Look, a people dwelling alone, not reckoning itself among the nations. Who shall count the dust of Jacob, and the number of 1/4 of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright, and let my end be like his. And Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I took you to curse my enemies, and look, you have kept on blessing. And he answered and said, Should I not take heed to speak what Yahweh has put in my mouth? And Balak said to him, Please come with me to another place from where you see them. You only see the extremity, but not all of them. Curse them for me from there. Curse them for me from there. And he took him to the field of the Tsophim, to the top of Pisgah, and built 7 slaughter places, and offered a bull and a ram on each slaughter place. And he said to Balak, Stand here by your ascending offering while I meet over there. And Yahweh came to Balaam and put a word in his mouth, and said, Go back to Balak and say this. So he went to him and saw him standing by his ascending offering, and the heads of Moab with him. And Balak asked him, What did Yahweh say? And he took up his proverb and said, Rise up, Balak, and hear. Listen to me, son of Zippor. El is not a man to lie, nor a son of man to repent. Has he said, and would he not do it, or spoken, and would not confirm it? See, I have received to bless, and he has blessed, and I do not reverse it. He has not looked upon wickedness in Jacob, nor has he seen trouble in Israel. Yahweh, his Elohim, is with him, and the shout of the sovereign is in him. El, who brought them out of Mitzrayim, is for them like the horns of a wild ox. For there is no sorcery against Jacob, nor is there any divination against Israel. Now it is said to Jacob and to Israel, What has El done? Look, a people rises like a lioness and lifts itself up like a lion. It lies not down until it devours the prey and drinks the blood of the slain. And Balak said to Balaam, do not curse them at all, nor bless them at all. And Balaam answered and said to Balak, have I not spoken to you, saying all that Yahweh speaks that I do? And Balak said to Balaam, please come, let me take you to another place. It might be right in the eyes of Elohim that you curse them for me from there. And Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, that overlooks the wasteland. And Balaam said to Balak, build 7 slaughter places for me here, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me here. And Balak did as Balaam had said, and offered a bull and a ram on each slaughter place. So Balak is like, all right, come curse these people. And they set up 7 slaughter places, bull and a ram in each one. And the father tells Balaam, these people are blessed. And Balak is like, all right, well, come look at this place. Maybe then he will want to curse them. And so they do it again in a different place. And the same result, the father has seen no wickedness. He blesses them. He doesn't curse them. And Balak is like, all right, let's try one more place. Come over here. Let's do it again. Balak keeps hoping for a different answer, and he's not getting it. Chapter 24. And when Balaam saw that it pleased Yahweh to bless Israel, he did not go, as at other times, to seek to use sorcery. But he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel encamped according to their tribes. And the spirit of Elohim came upon him. And he took up his proverb and said the saying of Balaam, son of Beor, and the saying of the man whose eyes are opened, the saying of him who hears the words of El, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes opened wide. How good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel, like wadis that stretch out, like gardens by the river, like aloes planted by Yahweh, like cedars beside waters. And he makes water flow from his buckets, and his seed is in many waters. His sovereign is higher at Agag, and his reign is exalted. El, who brought him out of Mitzrayim, is for them like the horn of a wild ox. He devours nations, his enemies, and he breaks their bones, and with his arrows he smites. He bowed down, he lay down like a lion, and like a lion, who would rouse him? Blessed is he who blesses you, and cursed is he who curses you. Then the displeasure of Balak burned against Balaam, and he struck his hands together. Balak then said to Balaam, I summoned you to curse my enemies, and see, you have kept on blessing these 3 times. And now flee to your place. I said I would greatly esteem you, and see, Yahweh has kept you back from esteem. And Balaam said to Balak, did I not also speak to your messengers whom you sent to me, saying, if Balak should give me his house filled with silver and gold, I am unable to go beyond the word of Yahweh, to do either good or evil of my own heart? What Yahweh speaks, that I speak. And now, see, I am going to my people. Come, let me advise you what this people is going to do to your people in the latter days. And he took up his proverb and said the saying of Balaam, son of Beor, and the saying of man whose eyes are opened, the saying of him who hears the words of El, and knows the knowledge of the Most High, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes opened wide. I see him, but not now. I observe him, but not near. A star shall come out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and shall destroy all the sons of Sheth. And Edom shall be a possession, and Seir shall be a possession. Enemies, and Israel is doing mightily. And out of Jacob one shall rule and destroy the remnant from Ar. He then looked on Amalek, and he took up his proverb and said, Amalek was first among the nations, but his latter end is to perish forever. He then looked on the Kenites, and he took up his proverb and said, firm is your dwelling place, and your nest is set in the rock. But Cain is to be burned. Till when does Ashur keep you captive? And he took up his proverb and said, oh, who does live when El does this? And ships shall come from the coast of Kittim, and they shall afflict Ashur and afflict Eber, and so shall he also perish. And Balaam arose and left and returned to his place, and Balak also went on his way. So, Balaam doesn't even try the third time. He's just like, yep, these are my people. Whoever blesses them is blessed, and whoever curses them is cursed. And Balak gets a little angry about it, and he's like, yeah, you want me to tell you what's going to happen? But that is the end of the reading for today. Next week, we'll find out what happens. And thanks for coming along with me. I hope you join us again next Saturday, and I hope you're reading along in your own Bible. Don't take my word for it. So, may the Father bless you. Shalom.